slicker than libero's side slide and smarter than a setter's stare. These volleyball plays aren't just smooth, they're surgical. Bulgaria versus France. This right here is what we call volleyball elegance under pressure. The serve came in, a nice jump float straight to zone 5. The pass? Well, not so much. It landed somewhere around the 3-meter line. But the setter just made it look easy, sliding into position and floating up a high ball to the outside. And that's when it became silky, lovely footwork from the outside hitter, spiking up and releasing a lovely cross-court swing. Blockers leaped up, but were fractions behind. The ball sailed past and the back row defender could not reach. Clean contact, smooth execution, that was textbook even on an out-of-system try. Japan versus Italy. In the gold medal match between Italy and Japan, libero Monica De Gennaro delivered one of the smoothest defensive sequences you'll ever see. The rally began with a sharp attack from Japan, and Italian setter Alessia Oro reacted instantly, diving in for the first save. That's when De Gennaro took command. She dug the next ball with perfect form, then sprinted across the court for a full-speed running save that seemed impossible to reach. But the rally didn't end there. With Japan sending one final push, De Gennaro made a split-second chest save, completely legal and just enough to keep the ball alive. 3 saves, each more difficult than the last, all executed with poise and precision. The arena roared, not just because Italy won the point, but because they had just witnessed a libero doing what only the best can, turning defense into an art form. Turkey versus Poland. Some moments in volleyball defy logic, and this was one of them. In a heated clash between Turkey and Poland, a seemingly dead ball was just inches from the floor. It looked like the rally was over, but then came Malwina Smarcek-Mędzik. The Polish opposite came sliding in from the back out of nowhere with split-second instinct and zero hesitation. With no time to get her hands under the ball, she pulled off a desperate kick save, launching it back into the air and stunning everyone watching. It wasn't just quick thinking, it was pure determination, and it kept the play alive in spectacular fashion. Czechia versus China. When China played Czechia in the 2025 Women's Volleyball Nations League, the crowd went wild for a defensive work of art. A Czech attacker attempted what looked like an automatic point, a lovely, perfectly timed swing, but China wasn't having any of that. The defenders launched the length of the court in the time it takes to blink an eye, playing out the scenario like a play. And then the instant, a stunning block perfectly placed that didn't merely stop the ball, it pushed it back with impact, rattling the arena. It was not just a highlight, it was a message. Most teams cling defense, hoping something will transpire. China does not wait. That block, crafted from uncontainable pressure, ideal anticipation, and a flash of execution, changed the tone of the match and reminded everyone in the building world-class defense doesn't react, it chases. USA versus Poland. That save was insane. Mid-rally, USA wing Morgan Hens actually jumped off the floor to revive a straight-line movement in the USA-Poland match in Week 2 of the 2025 Women's VNL. With the ball careening toward the sideline, she jumped horizontally for a jump, slapped it back in bounds by an inch, and ignited a comeback point that caused energy back into Team USA. It wasn't even a defensive stop, it was a body dive that demonstrated pure hustle and kept the set on a string. This is a game-changing hustle, one down, next storming back into the fight, all because one person would not give up. Canada versus Mexico. In the tightly contested matchup between Canada and Mexico, the score couldn't even start to tell the story, but the hustle could. Canada provided not just skill, but pure grit on one of the grittiest, slickest defensive plays of the game. It began with a crazy ricochet off the arm of one of his own teammates that sent the ball soaring high and deep off the court. And in steps Stephen Marshall. With lightning speed and impeccable spatial sense, he ran down the ball and launched it back onto the court inches from the baseline. But the rally was not over yet. Mexico attempted to chop it free with a deep return, but Canada was not losing this point. Yet another Canadian sprinter ran it full out, jumped over the court's edge and drove into the boards, sacrificing his body to prevent the ball from touching the floor. It was not a save, it was a declaration. This club team would hustle on each rally regardless of how deep the ball traveled. Poland versus Russia. This block was just as quick and ruthless as nearly all his others. Precise footwork, perfect timing, and a stone wall finish. But what truly set it apart was the immediate aftermath. The opposing spiker had gone all in on that swing, full approach, maximum elevation, and a powerful arm swing. Everything was there. And yet, the ball didn't even make it past the net. It was stuffed cleanly and emphatically. The look on the hitter's face said it all. Disbelief, frustration, and that hollow pause where he just stared at the floor, frozen for a second, not angry, not stunned. All that effort shutting down like it was nothing. Iran versus Russia. He didn't even need to exert himself. No dramatic leap, no full arm swing, just pure timing and finesse. As the ball floated just above the tape, he casually reached over the net and redirected it with the softest touches. It wasn't a block, it wasn't a spike, it was something in between. A controlled kill, as smooth as they come. The opposing team was completely frozen. Their blockers were still resetting, their defense caught on its heels. Before anyone could even drop into position, the ball had already kissed the floor on their side. No celebration, no theatrics, just a subtle nod and a walk back to the service line. That's not just skill, that's control. Fenerbahce Medicana versus Galatasaray Daikon. Teen prodigy turned full-blown Terminator, Arina Fedorovtseva isn't just a rising star, she's a volleyball spectacle. With a massive vertical leap and arm speed that routinely launches the ball over 100 km per hour, her attacks are equal parts athleticism and science. In this Turkish league match, Arina took flight on a pipe attack that looked straight out of slow motion. She reached a jaw-dropping 2.9 meters in the air, higher than most blockers even get their hands, and then delivered a laser-fast spike at 104 kilometers per hour. The timing, the elevation, the clean contact, it was flawless. The ball barely cleared the net before crashing into the floor on the other side, untouched. It wasn't just powerful, it was smooth, effortless destruction. A play so sharp you could practically hear the physics textbooks flipping open. China versus Serbia. In the China-Serbia Olympic final, Serbia had taken an early lead in the first set and they were not about to let it go. With Tijana Bošković on the court, the Serbian offense had all the weapons it needed to continue firing. But halfway through the rally, China dropped a sneaky curveball. A gentle, perfectly placed roll shot appeared to drop nice and clean in the middle of the Serbian defense. It had finesse, it had precision, but Bošković noticed something different. She didn't even flinch before diving out and sliding under the ball, her hand open for a classic pancake save. The ball bounced up just far enough to extend the rally. What came next? Effortless, exact. Serbia rebooted, toggled as it breathed, and before long, Bošković was airborne again, unleashing a thunderous spike down the sideline. From last-second rescue to photo finish, no, it was more than a point, it was a statement.